All right, looks like we're good to go. So, welcome to the Inbroztigators' first official live stream. Not only number one, not only are we going to live stream, we're going to do a live reaction to what I would think is a pretty good documentary. I think it's by the History Channel, but I'm not sure if we really want to give too much of maybe our background or what we think as far as what happened with the assassination, or if we should just go into the reaction.
I think we should go into the reaction. If you're curious what we think.
Okay.
We have a couple other episodes, right?
Yeah, I guess we'll kind of get into it too as
kind of produced episodes. This is more of a live stream, so
just keep it casual. Yeah. All right. Just start it.
Very cash. All right. And we're starting.
But yeah, we're reacting to the JFK assassination. The men who killed Kennedy, the patsy, by the History Channel. So.
The patsy. This sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Josh, sounds familiar.
Very familiar.
Six weeks before the assassination, Oswald had taken a low-paid job as an order filler at the school book depository in downtown Dallas.
Nothing weird about that so far.
What? I mean, 6 weeks. Why not 7?
I mean, I'm glad that they say 6 weeks, but I guess this is basically where we're starting. Is just right into right when he gets into Dallas, I guess. The only thing I say about before is because there's a whole Cuba connection, and obviously when he was in Russia, but they basically start right when he gets to Dallas.
Okay.
Oswald was living in the modest residential district of Oak Cliff.
Oak Cliff. Very modest.
We drove through it, right?
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice. Unless you don't live there, it's kind of scary. But if you live there, we're just kidding. It's nice.
4 miles out of town. Although married with 2 young daughters, weeknights were spent alone at this seedy rooming house at 1026 North Beckley.
Wait. It's not seedy.
It's not what?
The boarding house, not seedy. It's just like old lady's house. He was just renting an extra room in an old lady's house, right?
Pretty much, yeah. But,
I mean, even now, it just looks like you expect someone's grandma to be out front, picking roses or something. I would not classify it as seedy. Even in Oak Cliff is kind of scary, but the house didn't seem seedy. It's just on a very busy road, which makes sense, right? If you're going to run a rental, you want to be on, a busy road, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure stuff has changed since then, because when we were there, it was literally earlier this year. So, but
yeah, but I mean, the neighborhood probably didn't get better.
It's hard for me to say. I've only been in Dallas for 10 years, and I've only been into that one part, just for maybe those 2 hours that we were there. So it's hard for me to say, but I'm sure not too much has changed. But if anyone knows, leave a comment.
Yeah, hey, Oak Cliff historians, hit us up in the chat. Leave some comments.
Where Oswald had mysteriously registered under the name of O.H.
They parked that pickup truck there for this video.
Lee. Most weekends, however, he visited.
I mean, look at this. That looks like the house from the Golden Girls, right? Does not look seedy at all.
What kind of trees are those?
I don't know. Are those the things they make agave? Are those what's the stuff you make tequila out of?
I have no clue, but where I'm getting at is
cactus.
It looks kind of nice, but
I think it looks nice.
I'm trying to get an idea of where he's getting his money from. I mean, they've already established he just got to Dallas. He works at the book school depository. He lives in 2 separate homes. So where he's getting his money?
He's renting a room, right?
Yeah, but that still costs money, and he's still in his family somewhere else. And we're only 3 minutes into the documentary.
Okay. No, I
Isn't that a
fair
legitimate question?
It's a very fair question.
Okay, all right.
Visited his Russian-born wife Marina and their baby daughters.
Okay, now there's the Russian connection.
Okay, 9430102.
In the Irving district of Dallas. Unable to drive, he would hitch a lift with a fellow worker to this house, where his family lodged with the woman who had befriended them, a Quaker called Ruth Payne.
Quaker, okay, I didn't know that.
Very nice.
The idea of his having shot the president. Excuse what everyone thinks.
Why'd you stop?
I don't know. It's just confirming what they said before. It makes sense.
It seems to me, and we forget how ordinary he was, or how he would play with his
how
children
ordinary.
And his line
Okay, I mean, my lie detector test.
The eyes.
The eyes are saying truthful.
Well, here's the thing. Even if she's being truthful, and even if she, and I want to take what she's saying as fact, as far as like her personal experience with him, with Oswald, and I would assume that she would know that he was already in the military. He's moved around. He's defected to Russia and came back. Has a wife. Has
Do you think she
two
knows
separate.
all that?
Well, yeah, they're living together. Why wouldn't they know that?
Well, wouldn't you leave out some of those details?
How would she not know that he came from Russia with a Russian wife?
Maybe they said that maybe they.
No, the whole reason why they're staying together is because of the Russian connection, right? Because that's she knows Russian.
Yeah, but do you get into like hey, by the way, I defected from the U.S., became a Russian citizen for a short period of time, came home.
Take the word defected out. Let's just say he went to Russia and came back, right?
Okay.
And lived there for what, a year or so? I can't remember the exact time, but I know was it 6 months, a year? It was a significant amount of time. More than a vacation.
Yeah. No, it was but I mean,
what's ordinary about that?
I worked with a guy who has a Russian wife.
I'm just saying, like,
I haven't
by
talked
all
to him
accounts,
in like 15
he's not
years,
ordinary.
but he got a Russian wife.
If she would have talked up his backstory a little bit more, I would have been more believable in what she's saying. I just feel like the way she's talking about it seems as if she's trying to hide something. Because again, there's nothing ordinary about his life.
I can't remember this guy's name, okay, but it was early 2000s, right? And we're playing golf one day, and he's like, "Hey, I bought a Lexus on eBay." I was like, "Whoa. How do you trust eBay to buy a Lexus?" He's like, "Oh, no, it's no big deal. I just ordered it, showed up at my house on a trailer, and it's awesome." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then 2 months later, we're playing golf. He's like, "Oh, yeah, I married a Russian girl." And I was just like, "Okay. Okay, yeah."
So
I don't know all the details. He didn't move to Russia, but he married a Russian woman.
Yeah,
but
it's
very
a little
Russian
bit
when I
different.
met her.
It's not like they're living with you and you're housing them, and like you're their only friend. You know what I mean? Like,
No. I mean, yeah, no. I mean, yeah, it was a foursome. So, like on the friend of a friend, right? We were on the opposite ends of friend of a friend.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't question it. I was just like, oh yeah, of course. Why wouldn't you suddenly show up with a Russian wife? Why not?
I guess. Sure.
I mean, there were Russian people in Dallas, right?
I would imagine.
Okay, well, maybe Ruth has some more details that will explain it to you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, let's see.
at the house on weekends, and my main memory of him is of his watching the football games on Saturday and Sunday, and he enjoyed watching the games on the TV set. He seemed concerned about his little girls, very much so.
Oswald.
So concerned about his little girls that every weekend he would stay somewhere completely different.
Also, she's basically naked. I mean,
Loved being the family man. The colleague who drove him out to see them at weekends and lived only a few doors away witnessed that affection firsthand. Buell Wesley Frazier.
He liked children very much. That's one of the things that I could get Lee to talk about. When Lee came home with me on Friday afternoon and rode back with me on Monday morning, I never saw him or did anything with him at that time, but evidently the children in the neighborhood all...
No.
What?
We're doing the eyes detector test.
You're doing the eyes.
Deceptive.
I don't even pay attention to that.
I'm doing no heats, man. I'm watching them, and I think he's lying.
So
Deception.
you think this guy's lying?
Yes.
Okay.
Time or other seemed to find their way up to the Payne house where Lee lived to play with him and his daughter. On November the 21st, I was working
Pause
at
it.
the school books.
Okay, yeah. So that building looks a little bit different. So I guess
what is that?
What do you mean?
What's that?
That's the school book depository.
Really?
Yeah. The reason why it looks different is because you know like how you go up there, they added like the whole section where like the lobby is and the gift shop, and you go up that elevator and then you walk across. That portion's new. So they must have added that like after this video. That's weird. I wonder when they did that.
Yeah. The building looks a different color to me.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks different.
It could just be maybe like the filter of the camera and like the sun. Or
yeah,
whatever.
it might be lighting or something, but it's the back of the building, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But even from the back, you can tell it looks different because there's not that separate building, right?
It looks different.
Story. Oswald came up to me and he asked if he could ride home with me, and I said sure. And then a little bit later, I realized it wasn't Friday. And the next time I saw him, I said, "Well, today's not Friday, Lee." And he says, "I know that." He says, "It's Thursday." He says, "Marina has made some curtains for me, and they have some curtain rods out there." And he says, "I'm going to get the curtain rods to put the curtains up in my apartment." And I said, "Okay."
Curtain rods. This is consistent with the
Warren Commission report.
That's right. Comments?
No, nothing.
No. Consistent.
He had never come out without asking permission before, besides the fact that it was a weeknight. And he arrived, actually, I was out of the house when he arrived. I was grocery shopping. We bought a lot of groceries. And then he was there already.
I felt like that was a weird little detail. Like, why would she like? She's like, we're grocery shopping, and she's like,
well, her eyes kind of darted to the left real quick, indicating some sort of deception.
Well, she looked left first before she actually said her statement about grocery shopping, and then after she said grocery shopping, she said, "Haha, we buy a lot of groceries," as if like. To me, that's a weird detail because it's like, why would anyone question that you buy groceries, and like, who cares if it takes a long time, right? So it's like she's establishing she took a long time shopping groceries because she didn't see him when he stopped by anonymously, right? Which I find like, who cares?
Indeed.
On the front lawn when I arrived about 5:30. As we went by each other, I said, very, very, very happy.
Now, see? Now that's... See, everything she's looking this way. This is indicating that there's some sort of deception coming up, right? Based on our internet-proven way to tell if someone's lying or not. So, see what she says next.
In Russian, our president is coming, and he just sort of brushed on by without saying anything or no really reaction, and in a way that was typical of him, so I gave it very little thought. He often didn't respond very much, but I think that evening he was especially quiet at dinner, and he went to bed very early.
Sweet Trans Am in that driveway.
On the morning of the assassination, Oswald overslept. Leaving money and his wedding ring behind, he hurried down the street to secure his ride to work with Frazier. Under his arm, he carried a brown paper package. Did this contain the gun that killed the President of the United States?
The first time I saw the package, it was on the back seat of my car, and I just glanced at it. And I asked, I said, what's that, Lee? And he said, that's curtain rods. He said, remember I was going to bring them? The length of the
little sass
package that I saw that morning was roughly 2 foot long, give or take an inch or two. And it was made out of the same type of packing material that you would find in any company that packed materials for shipment. It's just the brown paper and the tape that you'd normally find. Nothing unusual.
Square body pick 'em up truck.
See, I like those trucks.
Yeah, very nice.
What we actually talked about that morning was that I said, President Kennedy is going to be coming to town today, and I said, I never seen a president. I said, I sure would like to get a chance to see him up close. Well, at that time, I didn't know that the motorcade in which he would be riding would come right by where we worked. He did not make any comment at all about where the president was coming to town. It didn't seem to interest.
So that guy didn't know the route?
Well, that's what he's saying.
That's what I'm saying. That's weird, Published in the paper.
It was
beforehand.
But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to be fair, he might be the kind of guy who doesn't read the paper.
Well, he forgot about the curtain rods. He seems like a moron. No, I'm just kidding.
2 foot long curtain rods.
Give an inch or two.
Okay, we'll give an inch. Some small windows. Of course, it's a very seedy boarding house. So
I do like the details that they give and they explain things. Because, like, again, he's like, when you explain that story, he was like, he mentioned the fact that Oswald kind of snapped at him like, don't you remember I said I was bringing curtain rods? Like,
you remember them curtain rods, right?
Yeah, like,
it's not a gun.
Right.
Curtain rods.
In one way or the other. I parked in the parking lot at Texas School Bus Depository. Lee got out of the car, took the package that he said contained curtain rods, and he put one end of the package in the cup of his hand and the other up under his armpit. He put the package under his arm that way, and he walked off toward Texas School Bus Depository up on Elm Street.
The package could not have contained Oswald's rifle. Even when dismantled, it was 3 feet long. The Warren Commissioner...
We're skipping a very important fact here.
What's that?
Maybe that guy doesn't know lengths,
Yeah, I mean, that's a possibility, but I mean, for him to say it's from his, like, arm, like, his wrist to his armpit, I mean, that's a pretty... It's a pretty good description.
No, more than 2 feet.
Oswald is, I think he was like 5'8". He was kind of a tiny guy, 5'8", 130. I don't think I don't know. I think 2 feet is a pretty good, accurate. If he's saying it's from his wrist, like the cusp of his hand to his armpit, then I would imagine it's probably around 2 feet.
Who investigated the assassination.
I mean, 5'8" is pretty short. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
I mean, it's hard to say, right? I mean, it should, but these are interesting details, right? I don't know if they explained it in that detail in the Warren report. I can't remember.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you're skipping a lot of steps. You're just saying, like, yeah, this guy, just like, and it's not like, okay, look, here's the thing, right? Like, if I said, hey, we're going to go to the store and buy something that's exact length of your arm. How long is your arm? Right? You're like thinking about it and stuff. But like, if I'm not thinking about it, like, am I going to know exactly how long something is that I just kind of saw?
But I find that I find that funny because, or I find it funny that you say that because you can take someone's description that's sitting on the corner of the street looking up 6 floors and someone say that they're 5'10", and you can say that's accurate, but you can't say that a guy can't.
That's not what I said.
So what'd you say then?
I said it's evidence.
So is this?
Yeah, it's evidence, yes, but
they hold the same weight.
It doesn't prove. It doesn't. You don't go from, hey, this guy believes it's 2 feet long to, well, there's just no way that there could have been anything in there longer than 2 feet.
This is what I'll say. This is just this is an important detail and a small detail and a like accumulation of details. So I think, yeah, this by alone, this is not going to definitively say anything, right? But if you add a whole bunch of other things,
they're interviewing this guy in like the 80s, man.
So?
Well, it's like, okay, this is what this guy remembers or saying he remembers like 20 years after the fact, right?
Right, but that's the same thing with anyone else. But I think the consistency is anyone that you hear from their point of view versus what was actually in the Warren report, a lot of that stuff was skewed, and they only kept certain things in the report. So things were purposely left out, or people's words were literally twisted.
Right, but that's what this documentary is doing as well.
In what sense, though?
Because you're taking one guy's statement and saying, well, there's no way that there could have been a gun in there because the gun was 3 feet.
I'm not saying that.
2 feet.
We're not saying
that.
I'm not saying that. It could
possibly be that guy thought it was 2 feet, but in fact it was 3 feet.
See,
right?
I've always contested that. I do believe that there was a gun where they found it, but it was a different gun than what they said it was. I always felt
it a 2 feet gun.
No, what they're saying is it's 2 parts and you put it together, right? So when you put it together, it actually creates a gun that's much smaller than what they said it was. That's where they're getting. Is
a Mauser a 2-piece gun?
Most rifles are you can take them apart. I'm supposing. Like I'm not like a gun expert, but
apparently you're making stuff up.
What am I making up?
That's a 2-piece gun.
I'm not saying there's more than 2 pieces in the gun. I'm just saying according to...
No, you're saying like a Carcana is like a single piece, right? And then the police testimony was it was a Mauser, right? But is a Mauser a 2-piece gun?
There's more than 2 pieces in a gun. If you dismantle
a disassemblable gun.
I think this is a straw man's argument because however many pieces you want to call, the point I'm trying to make is that
you're throwing out fallacy arguments at me.
Yes, because I will say it's 3 pieces, whatever pieces you want to say. All I'm trying to articulate is that he's just saying he's holding something that accumulates to 2 feet, and I feel like that's probably accurate. So whether you want to call that 5 pieces in there, 3 pieces, 2 pieces.
What I'm saying is that the narrator here who says that there's no way it could have been a gun because that guy said 2 feet, and
the narrator
he
said
feet.
There's no way it could be a gun because it was. If he's I'm
not
okay, well I'm not.
That's what this guy's just
said. My bad. Then we're talking about. I'm not agreeing with that.
I was upset about
because I think there was a gun up there. I'm just saying I don't know if. So we're actually agreeing on the same thing then.
Okay, yeah, okay. That's probably.
I didn't hear him say that. I'm sorry. I was just.
Okay. He said there was because it was 2 feet. There's no way that there was a gun because he didn't say what the rifle was, but we say it's a Carcana.
I fully believe that there was a gun up there. I really do.
He's saying that the gun measured 36 inches, so there's no way. And I'm just like, well, there's lots of ways.
Right.
Which you highlighted, maybe it was taken apart, and which I'm highlighting is maybe 2 feet and 3 feet. If you're like not paying attention, is not that different.
Yeah, I agree. I'm
okay.
There's no.
That's all I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying, yeah, it's evidence.
I'm only saying is if you believe the theory I believe, which is they found like a different type of gun, then this would kind of point towards that too, because that's like another little piece that if you look at the size of the gun,
and that's what I'm getting at though. If you know for certain that like a Mauser's got like a easy way to like, like it doesn't require tools to like break it into 2 pieces, and now each piece is smaller. That's interesting. That's why I was asking you that. Not because I was trying to
No, I don't know. I'm going off of what I've heard on this documentary and versus what I've heard like other things. But
we need a Carcana and a Mauser.
I would like to talk to like a gun expert, like that could like go into detail of that stuff, because I do find that stuff interesting, because there's like things. I think they do get into this documentary later on, but like when it comes to like the evidence of like, you know, when you shoot a gun and they have that test. Because they do go into that, but that's later on. I think that's well, I guess part 3. But yeah, if you want to continue on.
Testimony insisting the weapon had been smuggled into the depository in Oswald's brown paper parcel.
Now they are waving, and here comes Jackie waving by. And Mr. Kennedy.
That's some 80s sound effects.
I just like how the fact that the school book depository looks so much different than what it does right now.
Yeah, that's true, because it's like empty.
Yeah,
right.
Like they put all the books back in there.
But the cool part about this is, I presume they're on the same floor, but you see how low the windows are.
Yeah, maybe they're on the 5th floor. I don't know. They do get to the end. We'll.
A matter of minutes before he arrives at the trademark. It appears as though something has happened in the motorcade route. Something, I repeat, has happened in the motorcade route. There's numerous people running up the hill alongside Elm Street. Stand by just a moment, please. Put me on, Phil. Put me on. The motorcade is coming by here. The presidential car coming up now. We know it's the presidential car. You can see Mrs. Kennedy's pink suit. There's a Secret Service.
I can't remember what the windows look like.
I think they do look like
we
that.
were there. Huh?
I think the windows do look like that.
Like on the floor we were on?
Yeah. Because if you look on the outside, like when you get towards the top, it rounds off like that. There's only one floor that has those windows, I believe, because of the style. I could be wrong, but
so they were on the 6th floor then.
I feel like they are.
This video is 6th floor. Okay.
Because like when you get to this angle, that looks about right. Like when you look out, because look at that building across the street. Like it does feel like you're on the 6th floor right here.
Can't say.
We can't see who has been hit, if anybody's been hit, but apparently something is wrong here. Something is terribly wrong. I'm in behind the motorcade, trying to follow them.
They're too far away from the street for me to say.
Now we've received reports here at Parkland that Governor Connolly was shot in the upper left chest, and the first unconfirmed reports say the president was hit in the head. That's an unconfirmed report that the president was hit in
I confirmed that report.
the head. A police car has been ordered. Emergency
Fact
supplies
check.
of blood also being rushed to the hospital.
See, the square window is what I remember.
Yeah, look, see, they left it
and
open.
it's like open. I think that's where they're trying to say the shot was from, right?
We have a bulletin coming in.
Are they gonna like do like a cinematic zoom in to that spot?
Of the United States is dead.
If I was directing this at this point, I would like really go into that, and then I would show like the view down, see if they do it.
It's official. As of just a few moments ago.
No, fade to black.
Yeah. Missed opportunity.
What I remember is being told that it was an oral report rather than a visual one, that the president had been shot. And then it was really quite a while later that we heard that he had died. And when I first heard that he'd been shot, I went and got a little votive candle and lit that. And Marina said, "Is that a way of praying?" And I said, "Yes, it's just sort of my way."
Interesting.
We were both just very distressed, and you know, let lunch sit on the table, neither interested in eating, as we followed the coverage.
She's looking right there.
That's deceptive.
A little later on, life went on. We had children to take care of, and she was hanging out some laundry in the back line when I heard on the TV that the shots were thought to have been fired from the school book depository building.
Yeah, see, look, see how the windows around it?
Yeah.
So that was right.
But see how it looks a different color in that image?
Yeah, I think it was just really sunny that day.
Yeah. It's bleached out.
I miss that sound. That takes me back to the day. I'm not sure if they still have the sound.
Now riding.
What sound?
That.
All that their outro.
Yeah.
Country
The back
roads.
trails of Texas.
I got that
Former
OBS
Dallas
style
motorcycle officer
pick 'em up
recalls
truck.
A remarkable encounter he had within 90 seconds of the assassination.
Yeah, here you go.
The first policeman into the depository was Marion Baker.
I worked for the Dallas Police Department as a motorcycle officer and signed the motorcade that day. I was probably 5 or 6
My
cars
guy, you
back
did a
from
shit
the lead
job.
car of
Just
the
saying.
motorcade.
Hey.
I'm
it
just
wasn't his
kidding.
job
I'm
to
just
pick
kidding.
the
I'm just kidding. I'm just saying.
He was
the
there.
guy
He was
got
probably there for crowd
assassinated.
control. He was there for crowd control. Nobody in the crowd did it.
Honestly, it's the Secret Service's fault, but
Secret Service was supposed to check the buildings.
I had gotten about halfway between Maine and Houston when I heard these 3 shots. And immediately I knew they was in front of me and high. And as I looked up, I saw this huge flock of pigeons flying from the top of this.
a huge flock of pigeons.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's like a 7th floor.
There is, yeah. That's another museum now.
I rode the motorcycle.
That's right,
over
we
to
skipped
the
that.
corner of the intersection, parked it, and then ran in the building, which took me a very few seconds to do this. When I got through the front doors into the lobby of the building, I asked where the elevators or the stairs would be. And one man spoke up, said, "I'm Mr. Truly.
I'm Mr. Oswald, and the droids you are looking for are not here.
building manager." And he said, "Come on, officer, I'll show you." So he and I continued on to the back of the building and up some stairways at the back of the building to the 2nd floor. As we came out of on the second floor, I saw through a doorway, a window in this doorway, a movement. So I went over and opened up the door, and this man was walking away from it. And the next room, I later found out was a coffee room.
Was he eating chicken and drinking a Coca-Cola?
As seen earlier by his fellow workers, Oswald was still alone in the lunchroom.
I called to the man, and he turned around, and Mr. Truly was there beside me, and I asked him if he knew this man or if he worked there. He said, yes, he does. He was calm, ordinary, you know. He didn't look excited or anything
He said
like
ordinary again. Like, what?
Ordinary, average guy.
In order to fire the shots from the 6th floor, Oswald needed to squeeze his way out of the sniper's perch, pick his way between stacks of books.
I mean, come on now.
Yeah, it's not really that difficult.
He had a score. It's like, you mean he just had to walk away? I mean, come on now. That's not hard to navigate. Just a few boxes.
To the far side of the building, hiding the gun en route, descend 4 flights of stairs to the lunchroom unobserved, and yet appear calm and unruffled in his encounter.
The
with
timing
Officer
is
Baker.
kind of weird, though. That's why I always felt like there was more than one, there must have been like a spotter or something, because the timing's weird. The timing is weird. Like, I'm not saying definitively, like, he can't, like, because I can still live in a world where he made a shot or whatever, and then he just calmly, because if you're an assassin, or if you're thinking what I'm
Cold-blooded,
thinking,
baby.
yeah, if you're cold-blooded, and if you're thinking what I'm thinking, if he's part of the CIA, like, he's used to this type of stuff, so, like, he's gonna know how to react, right? So, like, for him to get from point A, like, but then again, there's other evidence where, like, people say, like,
I mean, he literally only had to get down 3 flights of stairs, right?
yeah,
Lunchroom's
it's
on the
not.
2nd floor. He's on the 5th floor, wait, he's on the 6th floor, right?
I feel like,
So he has to get down 4 flights of stairs, but there's also an elevator.
well, let me say it this way: like, I feel like this is something like where they can like fabricate the story to fit their narrative, but not at the same time, like, it doesn't really destroy that. Because I can still sense that, like I said, he can make the shot and still make it down to where he met that police officer in time. Because they're trying to make the argument that, like, there's no way he could have made the shot and then just like do whatever he did with the gun and then walk down all those flight of stairs in all that amount of time. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's still possible, but it is the timing is weird. And if you go by other people's like testimony,
I don't know, dude. When you were in college, how fast could you go down a flight of steps?
I mean, in general, like I could just walk pretty damn fast too. But I do think the timing is off from the Warren
definitely
report.
Faster than it would take a police officer who's like 5 cars away to like ride his motorcycle over to the building, go in the building, find somebody, have a conversation.
What if Oswald was the first shot and he missed and he was like, oh crap, and then that's when he started to do his thing? What if he didn't technically go from the actual fatal shot? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I to me, just way too much is made of this, because you got to assume between the last shot and the amount of time it takes for the police to arrive on the scene, right? So if they underestimate how much time it takes them to get there by 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, a minute, well, I mean, all that seems plausible,
I think
right?
the timing's kind of definitive, and where I was getting at before is because like there was other witnesses saying like when they went down the steps at a certain time that they didn't see anyone, so he would have had to go at a certain time, and it would have had to been pretty quick.
Yeah,
I think that's
okay.
It's not
just
probable,
because it had to be quick. Well, that's what I mean, though. Yeah, everything seems to point to he got down there quick, which doesn't seem unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I don't see like where it's
like much ado about nothing, because you've got to take, well, first of all, right, you got to believe that there are only 3 shots, right?
Right, which I
he
think
says 3 shots. Say there were 4 shots, right? So maybe what he thought was shot 3 was shot 4, right? So that's another second or 2, you know? I mean, it's all depends. So, yeah. I mean, it's not like a real definitive timeline, I guess is what I'm getting at.
I don't think this like makes or breaks anything for me, not necessarily, because like I said, I do feel like Oswald was involved one way or another. I just don't necessarily think like he was the lone person. So yeah this doesn't.
I mean, you're in. Okay. Here's the other thing. Isn't it suspicious that he's in there eating his lunch? Like the only guy who's like, I'm just gonna eat my lunch. And everybody else is like, I'm gonna watch the presidential thing.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh no, I'm just chilling here eating my lunch like I always do, officer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, everything about the situation is weird. There's no like, to me, there's no like simple explanation for anything.
The fact that he's the only one that works there eating his lunch in the cafeteria is weird.
Yeah, when everyone's running out,
everyone's either like, the president got shot, or like, I'm watching the parade and oh no, the president got shot, or I'm going to eat my lunch by the window so I can see the president.
Within 90 seconds.
Wait, within 90 seconds, he says.
Less than 15 minutes after the shooting, the police were broadcasting a wanted description that closely fitted Oswald. Who provided that description is not known, but it led to the immediate arrest of
is not known? I think it's known.
Oswald lookalikes, even in Fort Worth, 30 miles away.
Attention all squad. The suspect in the shooting at Elm in Houston is reported to be an unknown white male, approximately 30, slender build, height 5 feet 10 inches, weight 1.
Guilty.
That guy did kind of look like Oswald too. That's the funny part. Like,
he's definitely not 5 foot 10 inches though. Look how short that guy is. I said 5'10", not 5'0". Look at, I mean, come on now.
5'4". Maybe those
5'3".
people are like 6'5".
Yeah, they got like 2 6'5" deputies.
Yeah, like you can only make the Dallas force if you're like 6'2" or taller. You know, like they don't take.
Yeah, clearly, because everybody they're walking by is taller than this guy.
Meanwhile, the real Oswald had made his way to a taxi rank a short distance from the depository.
Short
And
distance.
after politely offering the first cab in line to another passenger, had asked...
This is misleading, because he didn't catch a 1980s cab.
to be driven to the street where
Well,
he lived in Oak.
he said shortly after, so they kind of like disregard the whole bus route thing.
Hey, no, you're right. You're right. Shortly doesn't mean anything. Shortly could mean 20 years later he caught a cab, right?
They just didn't want to bother the whole explanation with the bus. But technically, I mean, he did go from the bus to this line, so I think this was proven that he was actually at the spot. So
Yes. Well, not. It's the official report. Official account corroborates this.
well, and they had the
His
cab
lodgings, he
driver.
Yeah, part of the official report.
rushed to his room, collected a jacket and revolver, and was last seen by his landlady shortly after 1 p.m., standing at the bus stop outside 1026 North Beckley.
Did you know that that landlady and the cab driver both mysteriously died?
No, I didn't. Not mysterious that an old lady died, though.
It's very coincidental that a lot of people associated with this assassination died. That's why I say mysteriously.
Dun dun dun.
No, there was like a statistic done. Like, if you count all the people that are like directly connected to like the assassination and like all the deaths, it was like 17. Like the odds of like that many people dying connection to the death is like unbelievable. Like almost into like the made up numbers.
We'll have to look at that next.
Rooming house in another part of Oak Cliff, a further drama was unfolding. Waitress Helen Markham, on her way to work, was about to become the principal witness to a brutal
Yeah, I think
slay.
she was referencing the Warren Report,
I
right?
was standing here on this corner
Maybe.
when, waiting on the traffic to pass so I could go down there and catch my bus to go to work. And a man came
Honestly, I don't think the
walking
neighborhood looks
down
too much
the
different.
Sidewalk, and a policeman came, and I could not get across.
The
Yeah.
policeman in a patrol car was Officer J.D. Tippett. According to Helen Markham's account, Tippett stopped his car and got out to continue his conversation with the man on the sidewalk.
Just as the policeman got in front of the hood of the car, that man shot him 3 or 4 times. And then he put his gun back in his pants. He run over here, and I put my hands, I seen him coming, I just put my hands up on my face like this. I waited for a few minutes, and I opened them up, and I
I really
pulled
hope she's
them
on the
down.
sidewalk because, like, I keep seeing these
And
cars
he
driving
looked at
past,
me,
and it
I
seems like
looked
she's
at
on the
him, and I
street.
never said a word. And just like a flash of lightning, with big glassy eyes, he run off across the field, that lot there, down, right across there, went over the fence and down the alley.
With Helen Markham, car dealer Ted Calloway was to become a principal witness for the Warren Commission. At a police identity parade later
Nice
that
Chevette.
day, they
Yeah,
both picked
this was
out
the guy that
Lee
was shot
Harvey
in the
Oswald
basement.
as the killer of Officer J.D. Tippett.
I was sitting in my office when I heard what sounded to be
He's
5
alive in the
shots
80s.
coming from behind my office in the direction of 10th Street. Well, I jumped up, ran out to the
Yeah, I guess the
sidewalk.
guy that shot him in
As
the
I did, I saw a
basement
man
mysteriously
jump to the
like
head,
got away, but I mean he
carrying
didn't
a
kill him.
pistol. And he angled across the street to the sidewalk.
I think we're getting to the point where maybe this isn't a very nice neighborhood. I mean, maybe you gotta adjust your statistics for, this area. No offense, people that live there.
And continued to run in my direction, holding his pistol. When he got almost directly across from me, I yelled at him, "Hey man, what the hell is going on?" And he had his pistol right here, and he nearly stopped, and he turned in my direction and said something, but I couldn't understand what he said. So he continued walking down Patton Street. I called to a friend of mine. I said, follow that guy, see where he's going.
The different routes.
That guy's crazy. He's got a gun. Follow him.
Yeah. Like,
what?
Yeah.
What?
It seems to happen a lot in this story.
There's a crazy guy running down the street with a gun. Hey, buddy, follow that guy. My friend, maybe my enemy. Hey, guy, I don't like. Follow that guy with a gun. He seems crazy.
Taken by the fleeing assailant are not the only contradictions in the accounts of these key witnesses.
He was wearing a light shirt, a brown jacket, and a light gray trousers.
He was wearing a black pair of trousers, a white shirt, and either a real light tan or a light gray Eisenhower-type windbreaker.
He was a short man, kind of small, and with a ruddy complexion.
He had real fair complexion.
What's a ruddy complexion?
Is that red? Like, kind of like blushy?
All I can think of is Rudy.
The walk-on Notre Dame?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. The con man.
Dark hair. And I found out later, the reason he had such fair complexion, that he'd killed a police officer and he was scared to death. So what it was, he was as pale as a ghost.
Looks pale.
I think that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
All right.
This might be part 2 right here.
Yeah, part 2's firing up. How far are we in?
It's 46 minutes.
All right. We gonna do part 2?
Just do part 2.
Bang.
It's just getting juicy, man.
It's just getting juicy. 2 men have died.
I'm talking about like details. Like, this is where everything starts to comes together, okay?
All right, well, who's this guy?
Listen.
This man has devoted more time and energy than anyone to investigating the murder of Officer Tippit in Booth Cliff.
Oh.
For 12 years, researcher Larry Harris has uncovered important new
Officer
evidence.
Tippit truther.
The warrant report concluded that Oswald had been walking east on 10th Street at the time he was encountered by Officer Tippit. And yet virtually all of the police, FBI, and Secret Service written reports from that weekend stated clearly that the man had been walking west on 10th Street, the opposite direction of Oswald. One of the witnesses to so state was Jim Burt, who was located on the corner of Denver and 10th Street. He sat on his front porch and stated he watched the man walking west on 10th Street up to the point where he encountered the police officer, and this is the man who did the shooting. The fact of the matter is that after 25 years, it's unclear just what transpired during the shooting here at 10th and Patton. One of the witnesses not known to the Warren Commission was a woman named Aquila Clemens, who was located in a house on the opposite side of the street. She came out immediately after the shooting and...
Seems weird.
What do you mean?
Wouldn't you just ask all the people that live there? They saw something, heard something? Or no?
Well, what did he say?
He was just like a woman unknown to the Warren Commission. I was just like, come on now. I mean, seems like it shouldn't be hard to figure out because you know where it happened. Just ask all the people that live there.
The same woman that was on that Mark, is it Mark Lane? I keep forgetting his name, but I think she's the same person that was in his documentary.
Mm-hmm.
I think it kind of explains it.
But the thing about this is, they caught Oswald based on this sequence of events.
Right. But it doesn't mean he didn't have like other people with him.
So he just happened to be at both places on that day.
I agree. That's what I'm saying.
And
I've always felt like he was involved for sure, but it doesn't mean there wasn't other people with him.
Men, one of whom was short and chunky, standing near the police car and these men ran off in opposite directions. The bullets recovered from Tippett's body could not be traced to Oswald's revolver, nor apparently to any other revolver. There were references on the police radio tapes to an automatic weapon, 2 references. This is highly significant because Oswald was carrying a 6-shot revolver, not an automatic. According to the Warren report, Oswald continued on in a westerly direction toward the Texas Theater and was able to reverse a 6-block distance unimpeded, even though Jefferson Boulevard was swarming with police cars and bystanders searching for the suspect and closely scrutinizing any single white male that would have been walking in the area.
An agitated figure was seen to dodge into the Texas Theater without paying and disappear into the upstairs balcony. Butch Burroughs was the ticket collector on duty that day.
We were playing 2 movies called War as Hell with Eddie Murphy and Cry Battle with Ben Heflin. And we started the movie at 1 o'clock. And I was counting candy behind the candy case. And he also slipped in around between 1 and 1:07.
According to the official record, 1:07 was the time at which police officer Tippett was slain.
Do you feel like his timing would be correct, or?
It's just like an insignificant detail. It's just like,
I don't think it's insignificant because they said Tippett got shot at 1:07. So how could he be in the theater at 1:07 at the same time that Tippett got shot? That's a pretty big discrepancy. There's like a 30-minute difference there, right? Or 40-minute difference between when he got shot and he caught in the theater.
I don't see it.
Okay.
Tippett's police comrades gave him a hero's funeral with all the pomp and ceremony that the city of Dallas could provide. Donations poured into Dallas for the family of the police hero slain in the line of duty, confronting the presidential assassin, Lee Oswald.
I don't know what this is all about. Back up, man!
Here in Dallas, the man all America is looking at this time is 24-year-old Lee H. Oswald, being interrogated at the Dallas City Police Building. At the time of his arrest, in a theater in the Oak Cliff section of Dallas, he was subdued after killing a Dallas...
All right, so what's he wearing? A white shirt?
I think he had a white shirt, like a brown type coat.
Eisenhower-style jacket?
Yeah, but the guy said it was tan. I think he just got the color wrong. And then the only other discrepancy is that he said that he had like black pants or something. And then that other lady said that he had the like the lighter pants or whatever.
Yeah. Well, what color are his pants?
I don't think you could see it, but...
This police officer with a snub-nosed revolver, struggling with another officer, striking him with that pistol. And during that struggle, he was heard to shout, "It's all over now. I got me a president and a cop, and I'll try for 2 more." A fanatic in every sense of...
Okay.
So I get me 2 more. And it's remarkable that they didn't kill him on the spot. Like, that's crazy to me. That he did all that and still trying to shoot someone, they didn't even kill him.
Nope.
Mike Dollar yelled for help from the other officers in the theater, and I managed to subdue the man, disarm him, and handcuff him. We asked him why he shot the officer, and he made the statement, "I haven't done anything to be ashamed of." This is all the information we got out of him on the way downtown. After we pulled into the basement and set up the wedge, we told him we would hold him in such a way that if he did not want his picture taken, he could duck down below the level of the outside guys walking around him and get into the station without anybody taking his picture. And here again, he says, "I haven't done anything to be ashamed of," and he did not try to hide his face in any way. As we went in on the elevator up to the 3rd floor and set him in the interrogation room.
except for the arresting officers. I was the first investigative officer that talked to him. He said he hadn't shot anybody, hadn't shot an officer or anybody else. And the only thing that he would admit to was hitting an officer in the mouth. He said, or a cop in the mouth is the way he put it. He said, I will admit.
See, that's the guy that was next to him when he got shot.
Was it?
Yeah. He was wearing that. Yep.
But he said, I won't admit to shooting anybody. And his answers that he would give to questions were almost like they'd been rehearsed.
See, like, it just feels like CIA to me. Like, all this stuff that they're saying, like he just seemed too calm, and like his answers were rehearsed. He said, I didn't do anything.
Yes, man.
I didn't do anything I'd be ashamed of, which is not necessarily like, because you can still say that and shot someone, right?
You can say whatever you want at any point in time.
I guess it's true, but it's just the way he did it. It's just not really consistent with all the other people that try to assassinate people, you know? Like, normally they try to claim it. They don't try to, like, pretend that they had nothing to do with it.
I think there's something to that statement, but, you know.
That's what I'm saying. He's saying that he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything. He didn't do anything that he was ashamed of.
Mm-hmm.
Building, yes, sir. Back up, man. No, they're taking me in because of the fact that I lived in the Soviet Union. Did you shoot the president?
The prime piece of evidence against Oswald seemed to be the antiquated bolt-action rifle discovered on the 6th floor of the depository 30 minutes after the assassination. However, both the FBI and the Dallas police were unable to positively tie the weapon to Oswald. This became a matter of increasing embarrassment to Police Chief Jesse Curry.
Chief, we understand you have the results of the paraffin tests which were made to
yeah, see these
whether
tests.
Oswald had fired a weapon. Can you tell us?
I understand that it was positive.
What does that mean?
It only means that he fired a gun.
Chief,
was there powder burns or powder marks on his cheek or? I don't know that. I don't know that. What do you know about on his hand?
Yeah. That he fired a gun, Chief, not the rifle or the pistol.
That's right.
As the police tried to build a case against Oswald, officers were dispatched to question his wife, Marina. They were led by Detective Gus Rhodes.
We drove to the
Where was the paraffin test on his cheek if he shot a rifle?
And walked up the walk. And as I approached the door, a voice said,
"What?
Where was the paraffin test on his cheek if he shot a rifle?" They asked that.
I don't think it's that accurate.
But it's okay. But they found it on his hand, so you can use the one that they found on his hand, but you can't use the one that they couldn't find anything on his cheek.
It's like if you eat Cheetos, right? You get the Cheetos on your fingers.
Okay.
Well, say you lick your fingers and get all the Cheeto dust off your fingers, right? Does that, and then someone looks at your hands and say, "Well, I didn't see any Cheetos dust."
I don't think he would have realistically had time if he shot a rifle to like clean off his face. I don't think it works like that. I could be wrong.
I don't think it's that good of a test, is what I'm trying to say.
So then you have to discredit the test on his hand then. So you can't.
No, it might not be that sensitive.
How can? But then how can you use the one but not use the other? Is what I'm saying.
I'm not following.
Cause the whole thing was they asked him. They said, "Did you do the paraffin test?" They said yes. They said, basically, what it showed was that he shot a gun but not necessarily a rifle, because it tested positive on his hand at the time, but nothing on his cheek.
Okay. They didn't find it on the cheek. I mean, it doesn't prove anything.
I think
it's inconclusive.
Yeah, but there's still a pretty strong correlation that like if you shoot a rifle, I want to say that they're like you get.
You want to say it, but you don't know it.
I guess it's true, but I feel like I don't know. It makes sense to me. Like if it, because like yeah, if you shoot a gun right and it's a handgun, I could see where it would exhaust on your hand, right? But if you have something on your eye and it's the same concept, right? Why wouldn't it be on your face if it was on your hand?
I don't know. Just logically, though, if I run a test on your cheek and your hand,
right,
and I don't think it works that if it's on your cheek or if it's on your hand but not on your cheek, that it means that you didn't shoot a rifle. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I think if they find it on your hand, it means you could have shot a handgun or a rifle. If they find it on your cheek, probably could have shot a handgun or a rifle, right? If they find it on both.
Yeah, but if you have if you have a handgun, there'd be no reason why it'd be like right next to your face like that.
How do you aim?
You aim down like this, like you hold your arm. Why would you? Who shoots like this? I don't
know.
Like people shoot like this in the movies.
I do.
I'm
I
sure
do
you
like
shot
this,
like this extended. Like
yeah,
why would you like
that.
like because there's like a recoil. Like you get like it's like
yeah. Maybe you were just like bat.
Yeah, but the difference with a rifle is that you have a stock that goes like into your like shoulder, and it's like like it's different. You don't like shoot a handgun like that because like.
I know, but I mean, does the whatever the paraffin test go necessarily in your face?
Yeah, that's why they would test your cheek.
But like, how much of it relative to your hand?
I feel like a lot because if you believe that there was a shooter,
well, you feel like it, but you don't know.
I feel like I have a pretty good understanding just based off of what I heard other people that like shotguns talk about it. Because again, if you go back,
they've shot guns and they've done paraffin tests.
When you go back to when people said that they shot someone when they saw a gun shot from the grassy knoll or whatever the whole story is, there's a cloud of smoke, right? It's a puff, like that's the shit that's on your face. So yes, it makes sense to me why if you shot a rifle and you're in that smoke, why it would be on your hand and on your face. Because if you can visually see a cloud of smoke, like many people referenced it, it makes sense why it would be on your face. So yes.
Guess what?
It would make sense that if you did a paraffin test, that it would test positive more often than not. You shot a rifle.
Yeah, I don't know anything about paraffin testing, but logically speaking, it doesn't rule it out, right?
Okay, but it's just there's no point of referencing the test at all then. So how could you use the one but not the other? That's like the weirdest like.
No, that's not what I'm saying. It shows that there was a gunshot.
So it's only reliable on your hand but not on your cheek, is what you're saying.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, well,
we're gonna have to draw a diagram sometime. Let's move on.
Come on in. I've been expecting you. Questions that I asked Marina, I said, does your husband own a rifle? She said yes. And I said, do you know where it is? And she said yes. I said, can you show it to me? And she said yes. And she motioned for me to follow her. And she directed me into the kitchen part of the house where she opened a door that goes into a garage. And she pointed out in the garage and to a rolled up blanket that was laying out there. And she said, being interpreted by Ruth Payne, that's his rifle.
And the officer picked up the blanket roll and, just hung over his arm. And that was the point at which I felt that he could have been the one that killed the president. And I had this flood of feeling of, what they need to know. I'm going to help them know whatever they need to know. We're going to get to the bottom of this. But that was the first I had any inkling that he'd even had a gun.
Fire that rifle
just as fast as you people have been given, but I emphatically deny these charges. Basic fundamental hygienic rights, I mean, like a shower and the toilet. These people have given me a hearing without...
Fundamental hygienic rights, man.
He knows his stuff.
Right.
Very, like, very specific that he knew that. Just your ordinary person would know. Huh?
Why does he want to take a shower?
The fact that he knows that that's his right, I don't think any ordinary person would know that.
This is no ordinary assassin.
No, I don't think so.
There is no official record of Oswald's many hours of interrogation.
See? I think that's suspicious. Like,
that's just a lie.
No,
it's a lie. We've read an official record.
But that was after the fact. That was even said when we read it. It was their account of what happened after the fact. It was all based off of memory. That's not how they do it. Everything is documented at the time. Why? Yes.
I don't remember it saying that.
I do. Go look at. Well, we don't have time to do that, but yes, it was off the recollection. Yes, I feel pretty confident about that.
Okay.
I had a short conversation with him, and where I said, Lee, if anybody shoots at you, I hope that they are as good a shot as you are. Meaning that I hope if they shot at him, they'd hit him and not me. He kind of laughed and said,
it's
well,
actually
you're being melodramatic
incorrect because he's actually a bad shot.
I don't think anybody's going to shoot at me. And I said, well, in the event that they do shoot at you, you know what to do. You will be on the floor immediately. However, I didn't realize that just 2 or 3 minutes later, somebody would actually be shooting at him.
Even in Oswald's dying moments, the authorities desperately tried to wrest a confession from him. As Surgeon Paul Peters of Parkland Hospital explains.
There were Secret Service men intermingled with the operating room personnel, as there were dozens of people in the operating suite at that time.
That guy looked familiar.
And some were dressed in green clothes as the surgeons, so as to be indistinguishable from operating room personnel.
I feel like he's been in a lot of documentaries, actually.
Since it was known by those in the operating room that he was under little
There's a little Chiron there. Explain who he is again. What's his name?
2 or 3 people shouted in his ear, "Did you do it? Did you do it?"
He's one of the surgeons that was at Parkland Hospital.
Speculate that perhaps a full-fledged confession might not yet have been obtained from Mr. Oswald.
Determined efforts by the Dallas police and the FBI in Washington had still failed to tie the prized rifle to Oswald. However, a smudged palm print was discovered on the weapon hours after a mysterious visit to the funeral home where Oswald's body had been taken by mortician Paul Grudy.
I had gotten to the funeral home with his body something in the neighborhood of 11 o'clock at night, and it's a several-hour procedure to prepare the remains. And after this time, someplace in the early morning, agents came. Now, I say agents because I'm not familiar at the moment with whether they were Secret Service or FBI or what they were, but agents did come, and when they did come, they fingerprinted. And the only reason that we knew they did, they were carrying a satchel and the equipment and asked us if they might have the preparation room to themselves. And after it was all over, we found ink on Lee Harvey's hands, showing that they had fingerprinted him and palm printed him. We had to take that ink back off in order to prepare him for burial and to eliminate that ink. When we removed the casket from the little chapel, there wasn't any way that the help and I could handle it. Since there were only 2 of us, we decided the best thing to do. I solicited the newsmen that were there, and I asked them, would you mind helping me? And they volunteered and came over and carried the remains, the casket to the coach, and then from the coach to the tent after I drove over to the gravesite. there were enough policemen there, one behind every tombstone, because they just didn't know what was going to be the next thing to happen. When the minister was through with a few brief words, the family then was given the privilege of, as in the business we call it the last leave, they had the opportunity to look at the body of Lee Harvey for a brief moment. And Marina, the wife, got up and patted his body and caressed him. Then she reached down and took a ring off of her finger, and actually it was 2 rings, and tried to place it on Lee Harvey's fingers, because this was the ring that was their wedding band. And I helped her because she was shaking and very nervous. Marina took a handful of dirt and made the sign of a cross on that grave. And then the family departed and went back to protective custody.
I think that's it.
It was the end of part 2?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you want to go to part 3, or are you good?
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right. Well,
we'll do part 3 next time.
Well, we'll catch you with part 3.